Today I'm going to show you how I made and decorated these engagement cookies. Come join me. This cookie set is 6 different designs that I'll be walking through in this video. I started with using my dough, the shortbread dough that I made, and I needed to first roll it out and cut out my designs with cookie cutters. I have cutters for 5 of the designs, and for the engagement ring, I'll have to freehand that because I don't have a cookie cutter for that design. So I used a double heart, I used a circle with ridges on it, I used a plain circle, I used a single heart, and also a square with ridges on it, and then of course that diamond ring that I will be freehanding. So I'm making 6 cookies of each design for 36 total cookies. Once they were all cut out, I added them to my cookie sheet and I baked them at 350 for about 10 minutes or so. So here is where I was doing the diamond ring. So I used a circle first to kind of get the shape of the ring itself, and then I'm freehanding that diamond on the top of it. Then I used a spatula to kind of cut out where I had drawn those lines. I used my little knife to cut into where I traced those lines. After I had that done, I just patted the sides so that they're not ragged, so they're nice and smooth as if it was cut with a cookie cutter. Then I baked those, and this is what the cookies looked like. Then I was able to move on with decorating. So I started with flooding each one of the cookies. I didn't have quite the right consistency, so I did have some running, which you'll see me going back to clean up where some of the icing ran. But that's okay. I was able to clean it up using a paintbrush, so it was all good. For this icing, I did have it a bit too runny, so wasn't quite the right consistency. So I will have to go back and clean these up a little bit before I move on to the next step. You can see that my icing is running a bit outside of where I placed it for the decoration. I'm coming back to that heart, and I have to flood the other side, but I needed the first one to dry before I did that. So after I do this, I will go back with my paintbrush and my scribe tool to just make sure that the edges line up nicely against the first heart. Going back with a heavier, thicker consistency and drawing 2 circles for the rings, and then I'll use my paintbrush just to make sure that they look nice and neat, and just to clean up the edges a little bit. Then I'll need to let them dry because I'll paint them later and they have to be really dry for me to do that. I'm now going in and flooding that area in between the diamond and the ring where the setting of this engagement ring would be. And I'm using my scribe tool and my paintbrush just to clean that up and make sure it's nice and neat. Going on to begin actually decorating. This is the groom and the bride's initials. So I'm just putting SR on each of the hearts, and then I'm adding a brown plus size sign in between the 2 letters. So we have S and R. And this is a pretty basic design. This will complete the design of this cookie. Going to move on to the next design, and I'm drawing 2 small lines on each of the bottom of these cookies, and I'm adding a letter B because that is the initial of the last name of the groom. And I'm going to let that dry, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. I'm beginning now with doing like a fern or a vine of some sort, just to add some greenery to the bottom of this cookie. Now moving on to the next cookie, and I'm just piping on she said, and then I'll come back in with another color and write yes. So she said yes. Another basic design. Just writing yes in cursive, and that will complete this cookie design. Moving on to the next cookie, I'm writing the bride and the groom's name in brown, and then I'll come back in with a different color and I will put 2 dashes and the letter N. So Rebecca and Seth. After I get this done, I'm going to pull up some pink, and I'm going to draw some little rosettes across the top of the cookie to begin a floral spray on the side of this. I'm piping in some green leaves that match that letter N, and just kind of putting them around each of the rosettes. I did begin to go down the side with this one. I will ultimately do that across all of the cookies with this design. Now I'm going back to my diamond ring and I'm just piping in the white lines that will add some texture to the diamond of each one of these cookies. I need to let this dry before I can do the next step. So for the next cookie, I'm writing the word love in an orange color. Going back to that last name initial and adding an orange piped rosette to that floral spread. Now I'm going back to the name cookie and adding some orange rosettes. And I'm adding some green leaves around those rosettes as well. So each one of these cookies has a floral spread along the top and the side, and then that will complete this design. I'm adding some of those same floral spreads along the top and bottom of the love cookie. And following the same thing I did the last time, adding some green leaves, and then I'll pipe in some orange flowers and add leaves to that as well. And once that's done, that will complete this design. Now I'm moving on to the rings again, and I'm just using some vanilla extract and gold luster dust to paint each one of these rings. And then I'm also going to paint the setting part of this ring as well. Once I'm finished painting the gold portion, I will use some lemon extract and some silver luster dust, and we'll paint the diamond of each one of these rings. And once this is done, I'm finished with all of the rings. That will complete the 6 different designs. And here's what all of the cookies look like. And here is 1 dozen. Thank you so much for coming to join me. Please like, comment, share, and come again. And subscribe.